Hey, Welcome World Entertainment, and Clayface is the next project up for DC, James Gunn's DCU. Of course, this is going to be the movie that's set before Superman, so it's technically the first outing for the DCU. It's all this weird. Now, you can see the headline here saying that there's double the interest in this movie over Supergirl. However, there is also bad news for this movie. And you saw the thumbnail asking basically, is this movie in trouble? And this is the thing. From what the analytics is saying, which is tracking its opening weekend, the people who know about the movie, so the DC fans, look like they're prepared to go and see it. Double the amount of them that went to see Supergirl. That's what this headline's talking about. However, and there is a big however, the people who are not comic book followers and stuff, basically your general going audience, don't even know the movie exists. And that causes a massive problem for the movie, because it's the case of, if they can't attract the general audience the way they're trying to make this movie do, because they're very much promoting it as a body horror movie, not a comic book movie, it doesn't track well for them. Now, this movie is the only project in the DCU that has a chance of making money, because its reported budget, which we will find out what the actual budget is because it filmed in the UK, is reported at 40 million, between 40 and 45. They said 40, but some people say 45. But so it has the best chance of breaking even and stuff, depending what they spent then on marketing. But we'll take a look at this. It does kind of get a bit technical with the way it breaks it down a bit. I'm not sure if this article does. Another one that definitely got all kind of weird, but there's interest there from the DC audience, the comic book audience, but there doesn't seem to be even knowledge of the existence of the movie from everyone else. So it's saying the first tracking on Clayface is in. The survey data Hollywood uses to guess how a movie will open, and the numbers split in a direction you almost never see. 57 days from its October 23rd release, fewer people than usual know the Batman villain solo horror movie exists. Now that's the very concerning part, is that fewer people even know than, like, it always has like tracking of, well, the normies don't usually know, but some of them do. This is saying it's unusual that even less people who are outside of the comic book stuff know this movie exists. But the ones who do, they're planning to be there at nearly double the normal rate. The last DC movie whose numbers split like this split the other way, it's not the lowest grossing DC movie ever made, Supergirl. What did he mean? Oh, it's now the lowest grossing movie. Yeah, so again, the concern for DC right now is that fewer people know about this movie. So, box office analyst Brandon Katz shared the data from Greenlight Analytics, one of the research firms that polls moviegoers about upcoming movies. So basically, that's the kind of thing of when you're coming out of a cinema, there could be someone there with a clipboard and asks you, what did you think of that movie, blah blah blah. What are you looking for that's coming out? And then they say, what about? And they say, like, are you interested in Clayface? And they might go, what the hell is Clayface? So that's what that is. Now, this guy is the one who gives this really complicated kind of breakdown, which is probably in here, but not as bad as it was in the other article. So two numbers matter here, and both are simpler than they sound, which, yeah. So the first is awareness, which is exactly what it sounds like. How many people know the movie exists? Clayface sits at 32% awareness. The 4 movies Greenlight Greenlight uses as a measuring stick averages 38% as the same point before they came out. So they're saying there, normally their baseline is 38% off awareness of a movie, and Clayface is well below that as of now. So the second is opening weekend interest, which Greenlight measures among people who already know the movie exists. In plain English, among people who already know Clayface exists, 21% say the plan is to see it opening weekend. Not later in theaters, not on streaming, but the first weekend. For the 4 movies Greenlight compared it against, only 11% of aware moviegoers said the same. So that's not good news for them. In fact, only 21% of an audience that knows about the movie saying they're going to see it opening weekend. That doesn't bode all that well for it either, because out of 100 people, like 100% you would want, 21% are saying we're seeing it opening weekend, which means it might have a bump on its first weekend but then just die at the box office. Because and I mean a small bump, because 21%, that's not great, and only 11% of casual moviegoers are like, yeah, they'd probably be interested in checking it out. So I'm curious as to, do they show them the trailers or something? If they say to them, Clayface, what do you think? And they're like, what's that? Do they show them the trailer to see if it drums up interest? Because otherwise, how exactly do moviegoers who aren't fully aware of the movie say, yeah, I'll go and see that opening weekend? Bit weird. So the crowd that knows about Clayface is smaller than usual, but it's almost twice as committed to showing up on day one, which is interesting. So, again, there you're hearing how this could struggle, because it's fewer people actually know about it, but they're going in batches to watch it, which you'd have to argue then that surely fewer people then are aware of it than Supergirl. But it also makes us say, if you're a comic book fan, if you're into the comic book movies and you're keeping track of it, you'll know about Clayface. So the amount of awareness that they're trying to say here should be on par with Supergirl and Superman and stuff like that. But they're saying it's unusually lower, which is strange. So run the math on those two numbers, and the committed group isn't just more locked in, it's bigger, period. 21% of a 32% aware crowd works out to about 7 of every 100 people surveyed planning to be their opening weekend. For the comparison movies, 11% of 38% is about 4 in 100. Again, that's not good news. That is incredibly bad news. 7 out of every 100 people plan to see it. It's that's not a number you want to be championing. You want 100 out of 100 people to be going to see it, or at least 70 of the 100 to be going to see it. So fewer people know Clayface exists, and it still has more people planning to show up. But that's a stupid comparison to try and make. You're sitting there going, well, fewer people know about it, but the ones who do are going to outnumber those. Well, of course they would outnumber that number. If you're comparing 100 people here and 100 people here, so we're taking 200 people, 100 know the movie, 100 don't. And the 100 here say they're going to see it, but 5 people in this group say they're interested. Of course that outweighs that. Yeah, it makes weird... yeah, whatever. So, as Katz puts it, small audience, unusually locked in, desire is there, it needs more reach. So, basically, what they are talking about here is, and it's quite simple to just break down when you run through all these numbers and they're trying to say percentages here, blah, blah, blah. fewer people know about Clayface in the comic movie going audience. That is what they're saying. So don't look at it from, well, is it audiences who don't know it exists compared to the audience who knows that it exists and are planning to see it, the comic book movie going audience, the DC fan base, whatever kind of fan base you want to call them, fewer of them know about the movie and want to go and see it. That's not good news. It doesn't matter whether they say it's an unusual high amount of people that want to see it opening weekend, but it's a higher amount in a smaller number of awareness people. So it doesn't quite add up. Now again, this movie has the best chance of succeeding because of its budget, if that budget is accurate. Because if it comes out and we find out this movie didn't cost 40 million, it cost 140 million, and then whatever they're going to put into the marketing of this, and if they're saying here, like, fewer people know that it exists and it needs more reach, well, that means they have to promote it even harder and get it out there in front of people so they know, like, this movie exists, which that's just going to double the marketing for it. So it looks like it's tracking well enough for the audience who know about it, but it still sounds like it's in trouble, and I'm not surprised. And then of course they have to be aware and say, like, well, we needed to reach more audience, we need people to know about it. What about the kids? Well, the kids are already out because it's R-rated, it's a hard R, so you're already limiting again the audience that can go and see this. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, these are just tracking numbers, so, like, the fact that the lower audience knows about it and that the lower audience who does know about it plan to see it, take all that into account, yes, but these are just the early kind of tracking. So this isn't tracking what its box office is going to do, this is tracking the awareness and interest in the movie. So it'll be very interesting to see where this goes and how it affects the opening weekend. But what do you guys think? Number one, are you going to see this opening weekend? 2, are you going to see it, period? Or are you just going to wait for it to be put on HBO Max or Paramount Plus, for whichever one it might be by the time this thing ends up on streaming and whatever happens with the merger and stuff? Let me know. And do you know people who aren't actually aware that this exists, and have you shown them, and what's their reaction? Do let me know. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and hit that hype button and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.